Hey everyone, I'm Scott Brown, founder of Flam 7 Percussion, and I have a massive treat for you today in our first Behind the Kick interview. Here with me, in whatever direction he appears, is the one and only Caleb Smith. Caleb plays drums in a pop punk band called Settle Your Scores from right here in Cincinnati. And Caleb, let me tell you, if I can tell everybody how I feel about you guys, I can say this. When I listen to Settle Your Scores, my entire neighborhood listens to Settle Your Scores because 11 is the only option. I don't know how many screenshots I've sent you over the years of the radio in my car, blasting How to Screw Up Your Future. It's like you don't have any other songs to me.
Yeah.
Like, you guys, what? You currently have 2 full-length albums, a few small releases. Your covers on YouTube are awesome, and I will link them for everybody down below. Caleb, I appreciate you being here today, man. How are things?
All good. Thanks for having me, man. Been practicing a lot more the last month or so that's pretty cool. But
Practice makes perfect, yeah.
Oh yeah, always got to keep on that.
I am never more than like a reach away from my tree trucks.
Oh yeah,
the forearms
those Gojos.
These are System Blues, actually. So yeah, I guess Gojos. I've always called them System Blues.
Yes, sir. Those are some trunks, dude.
They are. Well, let's get right down to it, man. Settle Your Scores has made a huge impact on the local pop punk scene. I'm seeing you guys on Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, you name it. How are things going, man? What's next with the band? Clue us in.
So we've been lurking in the shadows for the last 6 months or so. We put out our last full length it was 2 years ago last month. We've put out a couple little singles here and there just as kind of, a little something for everyone.
It's a good chance to plug Unwritten.
Oh, yeah. Go listen to Unwritten. We're all Natasha Bedingfield fans, playing manly music and stuff, But, so we've been sitting on a lot of new material. We're just trying to figure out the best way to go about releasing it, and everything shutting down has not really helped anyone's case, I guess.
So the video interview.
Right.
The Scott Brown production quality.
Yeah. We'll hopefully in the next few months I'm not going to say we're going to like drop an album in the next few months, but we'll at least be able to announce some stuff and keep everyone posted on what's going on next. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited.
And get the dirty details here.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, I'm gonna throw this is all a ploy to get you to tell us when more music is coming. That didn't work. I'll try again.
Yeah.
All right. I'll tell you, man, one of the things that I find most appealing about your guys' music, and this is no bullshit, the drum parts smack. Like, you're technical but tasteful. You know how to lay fills. You know when to lay them. You're one of the more musical pop punk drummers that I've heard. And that's saying something because pop punk in itself is, I don't know if it's fair to call it like a cookie cutter genre, but, the drums are expected to lay a certain way. And something about how you do it, I love it, man. So share your story with the people. When did you start playing?
So I probably started playing close to 20 years ago. My dad played, so he, obviously if you play, you got to sit your kid on a drum set and see what happens,
right.
So I started fooling around it probably about 20 years ago or so. I joined band in like middle school, I think, and then started playing at church when I was about 10. So I did band stuff all through high school. And then I've been playing in churches ever since. So those are probably I guess that's where I started. Been playing in bands real regularly for the last 10 or so years, I guess. I'm getting old, so it doesn't seem like it's been that long. But
it still starts with a 2, right? You're not getting that old.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Your knees pop when you get up?
Sometimes.
Yeah, you're old. Sorry.
Yeah. Hip hop too, But but no, I've been playing about 20 years. I'd say seriously like 10 or a little more.
It shows, man. I mean, it does. It shows because I've not had the chance to see you guys live yet, and it breaks my heart. And trust me, it's the first thing I'm going to do when all this is over. But I've heard your parts, and like I said, it goes back to the whole musicality thing. That's the one reason I wanted to have you on is of all like the local drummers that I've heard, just the skills, man. You've really helped settle your scores of sound throughout your albums, and that's one of the things about it that just jams. The mix is great, so big shout out to production crew on The Wilderness and Better Luck Tomorrow. But I mean,
I think a big part of, not say like, I guess how I kind of try and approach stuff. Because I mean, I've always kind of played in like pop punk bands, and it's fun. I like to play. I don't want to stop anytime soon, you know. But I definitely like, as far as listening to music and other playing opportunities, if I get them, I try to not limit myself. Like I said, like I did jazz bands in high school, played a billion old church songs, you know, listening to the radio, listening to concert band stuff, all kinds of different things can kind of like mold how you approach music. And I think a lot of people, myself included, from time to time, you can get stuck in like one path, as far as like how you want to approach it, you know. But I think definitely just kind of always keeping it fresh with listening to something new, something really old, something that's like the opposite of what you like to normally listen to.
Sure.
You can hear all kinds of different stuff, and you might not think right when you hear it like, oh my God, that's revolutionary to playing, but then you can apply it somewhere else where it still fits, you know. But you can take something, apply it somewhere else, and it'll be a really nice touch. And just kind of something a little different. And I will say too, my guys, Ricky and Jeff, that write our stuff, they definitely write in such a way that it opens up some spots from time to time, you know. So there's been a bunch of songs that they write where it's like real hectic parts, pretty busy, and then sometimes they'll write something that's a little more laid back and it has a little bit more room. So they kind of different approaches, but them, like their writing style and how they write, definitely caters to having some fun with the drums, you know what I mean?
Dude, you're not kidding. I think I'm glad you mentioned multiple influences, because this isn't like the Scott Brown autobiography, but that's one of the things when I was playing in bands that really helped is you had the metal, you had the classical, you had the jazz, you had the jam bands, the pop, all of it together. I think it really makes for a better drummer. And you're right about the way you guys write. There's so much diversity on both of your full-length albums alone. You've got a little bit of the post-hardcore. You got some stuff that's straight pop, and I eat it up. I hated the name drop, just How to Screw Up Your Future, because everything I've heard from you guys is a jam. I mean, it's that
is the one I got the most screenshots of.
Yeah, I need to diversify my screenshots. I think the writing is tremendous. A huge shout out to the rest of the band. I mean, I wish I could have everybody on here, and I mean, credit where it's due. You guys write mean music, and it's. I'm glad that good things are happening, and I'm hoping I'll do whatever I can to help, because you guys are tremendous, and I love my local music. Pop punk will never die. I'll say it.
There we go.
Now, but I'm working on. All right, so what's most important? We'll move on here. What's most important? You know, maybe some of the people watching this are interested in learning how to play drums. You know, maybe some Southern Scores fans are like, man, I want to be like Caleb. Warm-up routine, really important. Let's get back down to this. What is your warm-up routine, man? How do you get ready?
Warm-up routine, try and be on time to load in, you know, like an adult.
Step one. Those who haven't toured, that is step one.
Heading forward, of course. No, when if we're out and about, I don't have like a super strict warm up, you know. I don't have the magic formula that's required every day, but I usually try and get set up early just so it's done, so I don't have to worry about that later. And then, you know, on and off, especially like, you know, if we're playing, you know, a bill with a few bands on it, I'll try and just run a pad, even just like along to their set, you know, just singles, doubles, paradiddles, you know, just that's all drumming is, singles, doubles, and paradiddles. But
roughly a couple flam sevens.
Yeah, there we go. But But I think the biggest thing is you obviously want to get loose, you know, get ready. And, you know, like if you're playing like metal, maybe you got a little kick pad, like a practice pad setup that you can use. But that, you know, if you're playing a real soft set, maybe you just need to get a little loose. But I think no matter what you're going to play, just kind of taking a little time to get your hands loose and get in the right mindset is the biggest thing for me. Because there's been plenty of shows where I wasn't set up and you're, you know, kind of doing everything last minute, forget to charge my laptop and it dies in the middle of the set. And then it turns into a stand-up show for 5 minutes till I can get it back on, you know, like, so definitely being prepared just so that you don't have to worry about anything else, I think is big for me. A lot of people go by like their coattails a lot better than I do, but still working on that aspect, you know.
Well, pay attention, prospective drummers. Sorry to cut you off. This is huge. Prospective drummers, warm-ups are vital. It's the same with everything. Athletes warming up their muscles. You got to have, exactly like Caleb thinks he doesn't have a good warm-up routine. He's got a good warm-up routine. I know.
Also,
important.
Plug time. For probably the better part of the year or so, I've been using the RTOM Moongel pad. That blue one I showed you a while back. It's like a no rebound pad, and that is my favorite pad I've ever played on. Because with that, you definitely have to earn all your strokes because there is such little rebound. So it's kind of like by the time you hit that for a little while, then you get to the kit, your hands are super ready. You know, you're not doing any cheating to get a little bounce or a little quickness on your singles. You're ready to go. So definitely
it teaches you to play through that. In all my marching experience, the one thing you always learn is play through the head. Those Moongel pads are great. That's an awesome plug. In fact, if I remember, I'm going to put a link for that pad in here because that is crucial. I grew up playing on my legs, and my legs never enjoyed a bit of it, especially with it hurts. So, +1 for the Moongel. Yeah, sorry to cut you off. You're making such great points. Well, good. Okay, so that's the warm-up routine. Now, another thing that has me really curious with your playing style is your influences, because I don't just hear Cyrus Baluki. I don't just hear, like, pop-punk drummers. There is some deep shit going on here, pardon my French. So who influences you, man? Where did you learn to write like you write?
I will say, as a disclaimer, I'm not a big like drum solo guy, so there's a lot of bands where I'm like, I don't know that drummer's name, but he's awesome because he's in the pocket the whole time, and that's not a bad thing to just go under the radar and be steady. That's what everyone needs. But I'd say if I had to name a few drummers, especially when I was younger, Mitch Mitchell from the Jimi Hendrix Experience and John Bonham from Led Zeppelin. I always thought they were great. John Bonham is like
breaks. Man, one of my favorite beats ever. And that's like not all John Bonham has done. Don't get me wrong, but
well, he's like super powerful as a player. You know, was R.I.P. And Mitch Mitchell, he was pretty different. I read that he came up like playing jazz and seeing as rock was newer back then. He was doing a lot of really cool stuff, kind of a little all over the place, but in a tasteful way. And I always thought that was really cool.
Diversity.
Yeah, and I'd say as far as a little more modern spin on it, Benny Greb is like my favorite drummer on the planet. He can do no wrong because he can groove with anyone and he can shred with anyone.
He is the pocket
interchangeably.
It's nuts.
He really is.
Listen to Benny Greb,
yeah. And John Blackwell, I think he passed like a year or two ago. But he played with I think he played with Justin Timberlake and Prince and some guys like that. And he was another guy that could shred, but he would also play 4 on the floor for, you know, however many songs in him. And I think that's really cool when someone can play, but they don't always make it a point that you know they can play. And I'm trying to achieve that status after years of overplaying, you know.
You know who that like reminds me of? Chad Smith, I think, is a good modern example of a drummer who is way more powerful than he lets on. I mean, Chad Smith is so in the pocket and he's so funky, but when he gets in, and I won't say that he's one of the 3 greatest drummers of all time. Chad, I hope you never see this. I don't know if you're a Settle Your Scores fan, but
we'll see.
Yeah, Chad Smith, another guy. Who's another good? It was just on the tip of my tongue, and I was too busy thinking about that Chad Smith versus Will Ferrell drum off, and my train of thought just totally derailed.
Of course.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. I could sit here and name that all day, but yeah, that's a great point. And who are a couple of the bands? I'm curious because I've got a couple of the bands where you love the drumming, you're not necessarily sure who it is. I know I'm getting you this one off the rip, but
I would say, do you remember it's local to Cincinnati? Like 15 years ago or so, there was Mojo 94.9, the radio station.
Those were my days too. That's when I was active.
It was all like R&B, so I had no idea who anyone was, and it was all pocket the whole time. It was great.
Touche.
Made a Parade when they came out with A Lesson in Romantics.
Yes.
That album was like super clean all the way through.
And that drum mix, man.
Oh yeah, like there was no like unnecessary, hits, not a whole bunch of extra stuff, but everything that was played was really nice and tasteful and really powerful. Those are just a couple off the top. I'm that guy that's like, oh, I know that song, and then someone will be like, do you know who, like, which band this is? And I'll have no idea. Like 2 years later, but like, down the line, I'll be like, oh, that's who that was, and I didn't know for years or whatever. I'm that guy for sure. But yeah, I'm not good at keeping stats anymore and all of that.
Well, you're old. You said it.
Yeah.
Memory's just gone. You're halfway through your 42-year life. Or you're welcome for calling you 21.
There we go.
All right, so we could go on about that all day, but I'm sure these people have a lot of quarantine activities to get back to.
Oh, yeah.
Here's a tough one. Favorite percussion performances. This can be orchestral. This could be a rock show. Marching. What do you got?
I'll throw a couple out there. When I was growing up, there was always the most recent Modern Drummer DVD set in the house. So I always went through those, saw like countless super cool performances. I don't know if it was on one of the DVDs I had or I aged out by that point on those, but there's one of Aaron Spears playing Caught Up by Usher. That's like super legendary status kind of performance.
I'll have to relook that name up because it rings a bell, but it's impossible to know everybody.
Oh, Aaron Spears he's a beast, dude.
I'll take your word for it.
On Instagram to try and steal his magic and stuff because I want to be like him. But
maybe he'll nail you some mojo.
Yeah. I'd say as far as like marching or orchestral stuff, I can't think of a lot of orchestral stuff off the top of my head. I know we did some fun stuff in school. But we were talking about this the other day. The Machine from the Cavaliers, that was probably 10, 15-ish years ago.
That wasn't the one with Fight Club. Fight Club, that you remember the Fight Club bit? Was that Frameworks in 04? Do you remember when the whole chorus circled around the guard and then they put their horns down and did like the little Was that Machine? I think that was Frameworks. Sure someone chipped in.
There's all the horn players like doing the robot style stuff.
Somebody knows the answer to this. Please help us because I don't trust him. I swore it was Frameworks. You might be right. That's awesome, man. A lot of people don't know about DCI. Amazingly, like there are a ton of people, even that did marching band in high school, even college, that somehow never experienced DCI.
Oh yeah.
If you guys email me or get a hold of Caleb on social media or something, we will provide you with some links that will blow your mind. Like the stuff that these kids can do. I never had the opportunity to actually march in a corps. I got really close. Some left arm rotation issues. I call it tendonitis because that's the easy explanation. I could lay notes, but I just could not. Like Capital Regiment is a corps I went out for, and I was this close to getting in. I mean, I was like the top of the beeline. And but anyway, and this isn't like, again, not an autobiography. But DCI, you guys, drum set players, anybody, even if you went through high school thinking band was a bunch of geeks, DCI will blow your mind, I promise you. I know I could go on and on about.
it's definitely like, you know, two different things for sure. But that's a whole nother thing of checking out different things to like allow you to be influenced by them, you know.
Sure. In my playing, you can hear a lot of the rudimental stuff. I try to
Mhm.
hide it, but sometimes it's hard. You know,
Yeah.
that was really my introduction into music. It was, you know, my freshman year, I was on the snare line in high school, and then it just snowballed from there because I found DCI, WGI,
Mhm.
which is scholastic programs typically. DCI is more of like independent programs. They call marching music's major league, but
Mhm.
anyway, I'll do plenty of stuff about marching. Trust
Yeah.
me, plenty.
Yeah.
Marching and pop punks, the Flam 7 experience. Um, okay, so a fun question I was thinking about, and another thing that we're going to kill time on here. If you
Mhm.
could spend a day in the studio doing whatever, jamming, recording with anyone, but obviously those badass dudes you're with and settle your scores, dead or alive, anybody, who do you think it would be?
Um, I had a couple in mind. I'd say as far as um, like an older reference and a newer one.
Mm-hmm.
With my older one, I'd go with Steely Dan, because they were like a studio project more than
Uh-huh.
anything. They had so many great drummers. It was ridiculous, but they have a lot of great music. It's definitely pretty good stuff. Being 27, they're like probably one of my most listened to artists. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm sounding real old right now, but I like a lot of that stuff. It's just nice, like, you know, good pocket, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
horns and key stuff that's really cool. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
like fun chord changes and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Uh, they got to be on the legendary side of recording. Um, I'd say as far as like a newer someone, um, I really like Anderson .Paak, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure he tours with the Free Nationals. When he tours, they just put out an album within the last like 3 to 6 months. The Free Nationals did, and they're awesome. Um, it's a lot of like that newer like R&B vibe, and it's great. There's a lot of good like rap in it, and a lot of really good like vocal, just like singing, lots of cool
Mm-hmm.
harmonies and like really cool effects. That's what I like a lot about a lot of the new stuff, is that it's got that kind of throwback sound with a
Mm-hmm.
lot of new action that wasn't happening like 40, 50 years ago, you know. So
I've
it's a
noticed
whole
some
new
of that
take on
too.
it. Yeah, but that's
But
I'd say that would be my take for like a more modern someone to hop in the studio with, even just to
sure.
be like a fly on the wall. It'd be great.
You want to hear my funny one? And I'm not going
Yeah.
to sit here and tell everybody listening that I could hang Tesseract. Like you would not believe, I want to be with Tesseract in the studio, or Periphery, both
Yeah.
like crazy, I guess you could call it progressive metal,
Mm-hmm.
progressive rock. They're a little genre fluid, I think. But
Yeah.
dude, you guys all pick on the gent kids, but I'm telling you, like Periphery and Tesseract, I get so lost in their albums, and being in the studio with
Oh yeah.
those guys. That's a hard thing to sit in because the pocket is in like 7.5 sixteenths, and just it's math. And if my math teacher is watching, he or she, all of them will probably comment below that I have no business in a math metal outfit. 3 + 3
Yeah.
equals potato chips. I don't know. That's why I play drums. You know, it takes me
Yep.
a while to figure out how many pieces I brought. No, but yeah, sorry. So I keep on like this is a fun conversation, so I keep on wanting to chip in.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
But
man.
no, Steely Dan and Anderson .Paak, those are some solid options. I'm actually really impressed. Not that I thought less of you, but I'm really impressed with your influences. It's nuts because a lot of guys you talk to, they're going to bring up like the story so far, or they'll bring
Oh yeah.
up, you
Their
know,
drummer's actually lit. There's been a
I
lot
love
of
him.
afternoons where I've sat down and tried to hash out parts from their tracks, and it took me
He's
a
good,
while.
and they're the only band that was above you guys in the pop punk genre in my Spotify year in recap. I screenshotted that shit. Settle Your Scores #2, Story So Far
Nice.
#1. And then
Very good.
AJ and the Boys at the Dangerous Summer. I'm fucking obsessed. Really mad they're
Yeah.
not putting out music. I don't think they're putting out music now, are they? Are they still
I
kaput? Not sure.
I don't know for sure.
But anyway, yeah. Okay, so now a fun part. People are probably waiting. You can't build the castle without the tools, right? Let's talk about your tools. What equipment do you use? What kit do you play right now?
So right now I'm playing a Pearl like session custom kit. I've got this beautiful 14 by 8 like free floating snare that I need to get worked on. That is
I know a guy.
Pearl.
If you,
yeah, there we go.
where's my little,
There we go.
little drum set?
I've been letting it get dusty on a shelf for like 2 years because I'm like, I'm gonna get it fixed, and then I haven't. But I've got yeah, I've got like I want to say it's like the Master series or something, Master something series snare from Pearl that I've been using. It's a thing of beauty too. But I've been pretty stuck with Pearl since I can remember.
Sure.
You know, but a lot, and I know like I've played a lot of other kits that are really nice, but I can't really get away from Pearl all the way, at least for a long time, you know. But I've been pretty stuck with Pearl and Zildjian too. I can't get away from them. And
I'm too customs, don't you? Typically, I don't remember.
What?
Do you use A customs typically? I can't remember.
No, I had a couple A customs. I sold them a couple years ago to get some more case. You can't have enough case.
No such thing.
But yeah, I've been using like about half of my setup is like the K Sweet line, hats, crash, ride. And then I've got a couple effect symbols like the Crash of Doom and one of their trash crashes. I kind of flip those back and forth. And then I've got one of the, it's like the Avidus, the 18-inch crash ride. That's a thing of beauty. But no, Zildjian's awesome. They make me happy, you know. There's
Zildjian makes probably my favorite cymbals of all the ones I've tried. I've been down the Mino road, the Sabian road, and no shame to them, but playing styles, I mean, the different brands offer different things. And Zildjian, for powerful players, I know you're a powerful player. For powerful players, I've always liked Zildjian. I don't know, the dynamics are way better. Personal preference. They're not paying me for this. It'd be sweet, though. Zildjian, if you want to, like.
If you want, you know, I'm here. I'm here.
You play 4-piece, right, for the people at home?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Carrying more than a 4-piece is silly.
He's right.
And should not be done.
That's why Neil Peart had a drum tech. That's why everyone has. I'm trying to think of some huge sets. Well,
Terry Bozzio, boy.
That's the one. Guys,
I'm
dying right now. Okay, and so stick choice. This is a big one.
Stick choice, which I think affects the cymbals a lot.
It does.
And it'll affect your drum sound as well. But I've been stuck on like long 5As for a few years now. And not too long ago, Zildjian put out it's a Pure Grit line. So I'm using like the X5As from the Pure Grit.
You had some of those last time.
I think I showed them to you last time we were hanging out.
Those are pretty cool because for me, I don't admit this often, but dropping sticks, always a huge problem.
Oh, yeah.
You sweat, you're playing fast. I mean, technique and strength can only do so much. Shit happens.
Yeah, well, probably for the last 5 years or so, I would sand my sticks like halfway down to the butt of them. So in my like bag with like keys and felts and all of that, I'd have a piece of sandpaper.
Right.
But you know, those are really nice because they come out of the box like that, so you don't have to worry about it. You can stay used to it. So if you if you got a few pairs of those, you're not worried about, I used another stick and then it flew out of my hand.
Right. I've accidentally donated sticks to the crowd a few times.
Oh, yeah. It happens to the best of us, you know.
Yeah. You heard about Fairfield High School, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. For everybody listening, no story time. Nope.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, good insight. Yeah, I use the Extreme 5As from Vic Firth with the wood tips. Not a big fan of nylon, to be honest with you.
No.
Nylon for me it's just too. I have a hard time describing it. Yeah, I don't like the cymbal work with nylons. I don't like
Yeah.
I don't like power playing with nylons. I've actually broken nylon tips. It's yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're on the same
Yeah.
page
Yeah.
there with sticks.
Yeah, I like the 5As a lot. I've used a few different lines of 3As back in the day, and I used those forever. And they were great sticks, especially if you know you're a little more on the aggressive side of your playing, you know, or your style. But with the 5As, it's like a perfect balance of everything. You know, the tip is small enough to give you a lot of dynamic range, but the stick is like big enough and the tip is big enough still to give you a lot of power if you want it to.
Right.
And if you get a stick with an extra half-inch on it or so, can't beat that, you know.
And I used to use the Vic Firth SD1s, and then I realized it's a good way to blow out your endurance about halfway into a show. You know, a lot of the bands I was in was what, you know, we do hour-and-a-half long sets, and SD1s are not the choice. Oh no.
Yeah, those 3As, I'd get worn out with them more than I do now, you know what I mean? And I feel like on some sticks, like it, you know, if you go real heavy, you're gonna have that weights. There's more weight on the front end of it, so you're not gonna get all that rebound you want. And if you get something with a real fat handle and a thin top, you're gonna have the opposite problem. You're gonna have no splits to, you know, slap with.
Another student takeaway.
Yeah.
The right stick makes all of the difference. I cannot emphasize this enough. Just because your favorite drummer has a signature stick, I use the Travis Barker sticks on marching snare, and that's about it. The Dave Weckl Evolutions, that's another one of my favorite sticks, but it's only for a certain genre. Number one, and if you take lessons, you'll hopefully learn very quickly that you have to find the right stick for you before you go getting too far into it. So that's why sticks are taking up so much of this call, because they matter. And I was curious. I did kind of know what you played with, but I want the people to know. Probably a lot of drummers are going to watch this video, so
hopefully that's the idea, right?
Hey, it is the idea. Here's a fun question. You ready?
Yeah.
$50,000 in the world's largest music store. You got all day to blow it. What are you going to buy? I bet it's Pearl something. Watch.
Like we were talking.
No, I didn't know. This was a guess.
Yeah.
This was
guess. 2 seconds ago. I would probably buy every Zildjian cymbal that had an A or a K on it, and all their effect stuff for sure. I'd buy about a tree worth of some 5As, and then I've been eyeing this set on Sweetwater lately.
Sweetwater, listen up.
Yeah, it's like a Pearl Session Studio Select or something. They sell it as a 5-piece. It's like 4-ply birch with mahogany 1-ply on each side. And they're selling it like 10, 12, 14, 16, and they have a 20-inch kick option, which I am super interested in like kind of downsizing a little bit. Shout out my guy at church that has his kit there is using a 26-inch, so you gotta be a man to play that thing right.
You know, a subwoofer too. You know.
Oh
26
It sounds really nice in the room, but it takes some work. But I've noticed over time, because there for a while I was playing. I think I had a 14, 18, 24 setup. And I was like, this is just, I was like, I don't need this. And then I sold it. But you can definitely, you know, with tuning, you can get a lot of power without having to use like a huge drum. And I'm all about like compact, you know, lightweight, close to you on the kit, you know.
Sure.
I was not blessed with being tall or lanky, so I like my kit.
Same
here. You know?
I'm definitely not like 6'2". I love playing shallow. My most recent kit was a 12x8 and a what was it, like a 14x11. Well, I had an 1822 kick, but I always loved the tuning you could get out of smaller, shallower drums. Like I wasn't even a huge fan of the 22-inch kick, but that was my only option at the time. That is a hell of a music store visit. We need to arrange that.
Yeah, there we go.
somebody, Venmo 50 grand. We'll talk after the show. I promise. Caleb and I will put it to good use, and we'll invite you too.
As a sidebar, it's definitely cool. I didn't really ever look into this until a couple of years ago. I've same deal, been meaning to buy another kit for a couple of years, and I'm like, no, I'll just buy another cymbal and run out of money. It's fine,
Right.
But there's so much, like, if you're looking into grabbing some drums, there's so much that you can look into as far as specs, like ply, material, what kind of hoops you got on there.
So much deeper than people realize. It's nuts.
Yeah. There's so much that you can do with it. In, like, if you're scrolling through Instagram or YouTube and you see someone like, I can make this snare sound 3 different ways. You're like, cool, dude, whatever. But then if you take the time to actually do that too, you're like, wow, this is actually pretty legit. Because you're kind of like owning your tuning skills a little bit, but you can also number 2, you can kind of like just be a little more versatile with what you've got,
And a lot of people, in this selfless plug for Flam 7, this is a lot of the reason that I set out to do this, is because a lot of people starting out don't know that it's way more than the color and the brand on the kick head where you get your sound. I can put a vintage Gretsch kit in a metal environment. You can put a big, super deep 80s like stage drum set on a jazz stage.
Yeah.
There are so many dynamics, shell materials, your tuning, your head choice, your sticks, everything plays into getting the sound you want. Your hands. Yeah, don't forget the hands. And that's for another day, but it's important that everybody knows, and I'm glad Caleb said it. This is a guy been drumming for 2 decades. He understands. He knows his stuff. Materials matter. So, train of thought again, because I keep thinking about that Pearl kit you were talking about. And
they got it. I think they got it. It's called like Oyster Blue or something. It's like a real
blue. And
like
I know where
shiny
Sweetwater is. I've
blue.
driven past Sweetwater I don't know how many times in my life. Never had a chance to go in.
I legit sat at work and stared at like the pictures of it for like an hour today. So it's not.
Remind me of Wayne from Wayne's World at the was a Stratocaster, right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that movie in a while.
She will be mine.
Oh, yes. Okay, we're goofing off. You guys have hung with us this far, hopefully. All right, so shifting gears here. I know a few of your fans are probably watching. Some people who are wondering who I am and what I'm doing are watching. We need to address the rumor right now. Can they take drum lessons from you and learn to play like you?
Yeah. So Scott and I have been talking, and he's the brain power behind everything. But definitely talking about trying to get something rolling as far as, like we were saying, lessons, kind of consultation or whatever you want to call it. Probably some product down the line whenever that's the time is right for that.
Soon I hope.
But so definitely a cool thing getting started up here, But I am. So I'm located in Cincinnati. Always down to try and kind of. I mean, I wouldn't say like I'm going to teach you how to play every single thing. Like I could teach you a part, but I think a lot of the fun with learning is kind of just like expanding your vocabulary and expanding how you can use what is in your vocabulary. So there's definitely like times where you want to teach technicality, good hand technique, how to kind of move around the kit, how to try and focus and get stuff down as you need to. But there's also a lot of room for, okay, here's your paradiddle. Can you apply it around the kit in a couple different ways? That sounds good. So there's a lot of different approaches you can take to it, a lot of different things you can put into it and get out of it. But yeah, I am definitely trying to get some lessons rolling. I don't know when we're going to be allowed to interact with real people in real life.
We miss you guys.
But, yeah. but definitely be cool to get some in person down the line when the time's right for that. And like, you know, Zoom and Skype and all of that is the new norm. So that's definitely an option too. I've got like, I've been using the Remo silent strokes and the Zildjian L80 cymbals for a practice setup.
Those are sweet.
You know, nice holler, a little shout out for them.
Oh, plug, because they really need it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But
Caleb Smith uses your stuff. Come on.
But those are super, super nice, like practice pieces, you know, whatever you want to call them, little setup biddies. You know, 'cause a lot of times, like, you know, if you live with people or, you know, you got an apartment, whatever, it's hard to make a lot of noise without making people unhappy. So any, like we were talking, the Moongel pad, or really any practice pad that isn't made out of, like, you know, doesn't have a hoop on it, you know, it's going to be pretty quiet. Or like the silent stroke heads are real cool. You just take your regular heads off and yeah, just take your regular heads off, pop them on, and then it's like a mesh head, like an electric kit, you know. So
I haven't used them a ton, but I've seen them.
Yeah, the L80s are really great too, because I mean, you can hear them, but it's a whole lot better than hearing like a 19-inch crash in your ear hole in a tiny basement room.
Neighbors. Yes, and hearing is important. Gotta protect your hearing.
Yeah, wear earplugs, everyone.
Yes.
But all that to say, yeah, I'm definitely into doing some lessons. But I was saying I got that quiet setup because if I'm doing some online stuff, it's a little easier to do that without, you know,
a full
blasting
studio
someone's ears on a Zoom call.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you raised a lot of really good points. And like I said, Caleb and he was kind enough to give me some time today. We could go on for hours, for days, for months, for years, for a lifetime. We're here to help you. Flam 7, what I'm starting here is designed to teach people everything they need to know. And even if you've been playing, I've been playing since 1999, so about 20 years just like you, and 21. Again, math. I still learn every day, and I'm happy that way. And I wanted to bring that to you, and that's why I approached Caleb and said, hey, you're a local musician. We go back. I know you're a damn good drummer. Are you interested in helping me with this? And Caleb is just a small part of the network that I'm trying to build here. But, you know, in closing, Caleb, I really appreciate you taking some time to touch on some things and tell us a little about you and your band.
Yeah, man.
You know, we've taken up a lot of time. And again, if you're still with us, we really appreciate it. Caleb and I are talking about, he's my featured artist for the month of May. So we're talking about maybe doing some other things. We'll, if you guys want to follow us on social media, I am Flam7 Percussion on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, but don't go there. It's a barren wasteland right now. Caleb, you want to plug Settle Your Scores? Tell people where they can check you out?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of our tags.
I'll put links down there.
Person. You know, yeah. Scott will kindly put the links down in the whatever. But yeah, so I play in a band called Settle Your Scores. If you were unaware, you can check us on all the regular like streaming services, you know, Spotify, iTunes or Apple Music or whatever it's called these days, YouTube, Pandora, blah, blah, blah.
Everything.
Yeah, keep your eyes peeled. We're definitely trying to, you know, get down towards actually putting some more stuff out when we can. And I'm really excited for that.
Me too.
But my personal is Wiz_Kaliba. And I post some drum stuff on there from time to time. I try and do like some pad workouts and just like little stuff like that. Because a lot of it is just like little things that you kind of instill in your playing, and they can make a bigger impact down the road. But yeah, I don't have, you know, I won't do a 10-minute closing speech. Wear earplugs and don't tighten your belts too much, you know. Warm up, wear earplugs. Yeah, we'll type up the commandments sometime later, you know. Yeah.
That's about all I've got, man. Again, I really appreciate your time. I'm really excited to be doing this. I'm glad that you're willing to help. I think that's super tight of you. I have a large place in my heart for local music. So the fact that Settler Scores is all Cincinnati boys, I've driven the same streets these guys grew up on. Like, it means the world to me. So sure, landing an interview with a famous artist would be tremendous. But you guys, to me, are exactly the kind of band the scene needs to stay
Thanks,
alive.
man.
And it's tough these days. It really is.
Oh, yeah.
I get accused of listening to high school music all the time. That's something
Yeah.
people tell me. And I
Yeah.
kindly tell them to look over there at the amount of F's that I give right there in that corner, because pop punk will never die. Okay.
There you go.
Crazy outros. Well, Caleb, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, man.
Everyone that watched, we appreciate you guys stopping by. Check me out at www.flam7.com. I'll put all the links in below. If you're interested in learning drums from Caleb, from myself, or anybody else that I network with, let us know. The whole point of doing this is to be there for you guys. So way more like this coming soon. We appreciate you stopping by for our first Behind the Kick interview. Caleb, everybody, thank you. We will catch you around.
See ya.
End recording.